We describe outliers as sample values that lie very far away from the vast majority of all the other data values in a set. Unfortunately, that's really kind of a vague description. So what can we actually do to kind of settle down what is considered an outlier? Well, the first thing we can do is we need to find the interquartile range, or IQR, which is Q3 minus Q1. Once we know that, then we can say that a data value is considered an outlier if it is below Q1 by an amount that is greater than 1.5 times the IQR, and is considered an outlier if it's above Q3 by an amount that's greater than 1.5 times the IQR. So this is how we will decide whether something is or is not an outlier. Next, we can actually graph this in a modified box plot. So a modified box plot is constructed with the following modifications from a normal box plot. We use a symbol or a point or an asterisk or something like that to identify what an outlier is somewhere. Then a solid horizontal line extends only as far as the minimum and the maximum data values that is not considered an outlier. So knowing all these conditions, let's see how we can find the outliers and a modified box plot in the same time. So a simple random sample of credit scores was obtained and sorted in ascending order. We're going to construct a modified box plot and state any outliers. So here is our sample credit scores from lowest 490 all the way up to 836, our highest. So we're going to go in and we're going to put everything into a calculator because it's just going to make life a lot easier. So to put everything in a list, we're going to go to Stat and then one edit for a list. And here I've already put in all the data values. Going all the way down, I have all 13 in. So first things first is we need to find the IQR. So to find the IQR, we're going to go to Stat, Calc, and 1var_stats. And we're using list 1, so second one for list 1. And we have our statistical values. And we're just going to go in and grab what we need. So see we have our min, which is 490, Q1 695.5, median 753, Q3 810, and max 836. So I'm going to just kind of write those out over here. So the min 490, Q1 695.5, median 753, Q3 810, and then the max 836. So again, the IQR is Q3 minus Q1. So 810 minus 695.5. And that's going to give us an IQR of 114.5. Make that one just a little bit nicer. There we go. And now we still need to know what is 1.5 times our IQR so we can find our outliers. So we're going to do 1.5 times 114.5. And that is actually going to give us 171.75. So let's see if any of our data values fall outside of 1.5 times less than the IQR from Q1 and then 1.5 times above the IQR for Q3. So low outliers is going to be 695.5 minus 171.75. And we are going to end up getting 523.75. And then high, anything that's higher than this will be considered an outlier. And that's going to be 810 minus 100, plus 171.75. And that's going to end up being 981.75. So, of our values here, how many are below 523? And we can see just 490 is low. And how many are above 981.75? Well, 836 is the highest, so none. So looking at this, our only outlier is 490. So 490 is an outlier. So now that we got this, we can actually write or draw our modified box plot. And again, we're going to let our calculator help us in this. So how do we do that? Simple. Going to go to second and y equals, and we're going to get stat plots. And we're going to do the first one. If it's off, that's fine. If it's on, again, no big deal. So we're going to select number 1, enter, and we're going to get this. So we want to turn the plot on, and we're going to go look for the type. And we want the type that's a box plot, but with little dots, because that signifies the modified. So we're going to scroll over right until we get to it, hit enter, and then we can mark it however we want. It has a little box there, and that's good enough. So now, to get it graphed correctly, you need to go to second and zoom, or I'm sorry, just zoom. And we're going to scroll down until we get to number 9, zoom stat. So we're going to click on this, and it gives us our modified box plot. All nice. So we need to just translate it over, which again is very easy to do. We're going to press trace, and it's going to give us our values right here. So we can just kind of mimic what is on the calculator. So we see we have a little value that is out here, and we can just press over to get to it. And we see that it is 490. So we're going to have some value right here. So I'll say 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. So 490 is going to be about here, so I'll just put a dot. And then the next value is going to be over here at 664, so that's going to be right about here. And then I'm going to pick the next value, which I scroll over, and that's going to be 695. So that's going to be right about here. And then I'm going to pick the median, 753, so right about in the middle here. And then the next value, 810, which is right about here. And then finally the last one, 836, so right about, maybe a little bit closer, right about there. So again, this is the outlier here, so it's just going to be a dot all on its own. And I'm just going to kind of draw the box plot the way it looks on here. So I'm going to draw that, like so, with a line, and then connect it like so. So not perfect, but it's pretty close. I think it more or less accurately shows what a box plot would be if you were to draw it. So there's the full graph without the calculator blocking it. But we have our outlier clearly defined as 490. We have it graphed clearly right here. Right here, it's 490. And then we have our modified box plot just drawn the normal way you would draw a box plot, just with the outlier way out the side.